historian, a curator, and an author of the highly acclaimed Treasures of the Deccan, Jewels of the Nizam, and Dance of the Peacock. She has a PhD in ancient Indian culture and a postdoctorate degree in museum studies from New York University. She has worked for the Brooklyn Museum, New York, and was the Indian representative for Sotheby's. Thanks so much for joining us today, Dr. Balakrishnan. We're very happy to have you here with us. We also have with us Sujata Assomull, who is the leading fashion journalist based in Dubai and author of the 100 Iconic Bollywood Costumes, a visual history of Indian cinematic fashion. We've had the pleasure of having Sujata moderate a session for us before, and we're very, very happy that she could join us here today again. Last not the least, I'd like to welcome Gauri Tandon, who's co-founder of fashion jewelry brand Isharya. Isharya is a celebration of India's vibrant jewelry aesthetic with a modern appeal. Launched in 2004 by sister-in-laws Gauri and Radhika Tandon, after observing a void in the market for high-quality Indian-inspired costume jewelry. Gauri is also a fellow YFlow member, and we are very happy to welcome her and have her speak with us today. I now request Sujata to take over and lead us through this conversation.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Karishma, for that lovely introduction. And I'm so happy to be back with all your YFlow Delhi people. And I'm really glad you asked me to come back. And this is a topic that's really close to my heart because I'm someone who's always loved jewelry and all aspects of jewelry, be it costume jewelry and real jewelry, and someone who's always believed in mixing real with costume. I feel that it's much cooler. It just feels very sort of old school and almost auntie G for me to just only wear real. I mean, even for my own wedding, I remember I wore lots of glass bangles because I just wanted to break it all up. So I'm really happy to be discussing the role and heritage of costume jewelry, but more excited that I have with me Dr. Usha Balakrishna. I'd like to say I'm a fangirl of her work. If I can show you, this is how her books look on my shelf because they're all like tagged. So I was really excited when Isharya called me to do this. It's a jewelry brand I've been writing about, I think, pretty much since they founded. As you can see, I love to mix their stuff up with my fine. So I'm very happy to be here. And it's always struck me that I moved to India about 20 years ago. And people used to call costume jewelry junk jewelry. And I always wondered why they called it junk jewelry. Because to me, I have pieces of costume jewelry that have been passed on to me by my mother. And I really love them and appreciate them as much as I really do my fine jewelry. And if you go back and in fact look at Sotheby's and Christie's auctions, included in many jewelry auctions have been pieces of costume jewelry. Jacqueline Kennedy's 3-strand faux necklace was bought for around $500 by her. It sold for $200,000 by Sotheby's. Of course, it has a lot to do with its provenance and the fact that it was worn by Jacqueline Kennedy, but it just shows how much, costume jewelry is a part of a woman's life. And if you look at women who have style and substance throughout life, whether it's Coco Chanel or Diane Breland, they all believed in mixing their costume and real jewelry and all really valued their real jewelry. So to me, if you buy good quality costume fashion jewelry, it can really last you a lifetime. And increasingly, as our lifestyles are about traveling, it just makes so much sense to be able to have that costume jewelry you can rely on. So I was really excited to find out more about the lineage of costume jewelry in India, because it's not actually a subject I know so much about. So which is why I was really glad that we had Dr. Usha here to talk about us. You know, we actually have a long lineage of jewelry. Of course, we know that in India. And I did a little bit of research. And I found out that even during the times of the Indus civilization, we used jewelry that was made of beads and strings and stones. So obviously there is a heritage here of Indian jewelry being costume. And perhaps now I'll hand over to our expert, Dr. Usha, to tell us more about the heritage of Indian costume jewelry.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujata. Thank you, Karishma and Vicky, for inviting me this afternoon, and Gauri and Nisha. Really a pleasure to take part in this discussion. I'm going to pick on two words that Sujata just used in her introduction. One is the word costume. The other is the word junk. So, you know, if you look at the dictionary, the definition of costume jewelry is jewelry that is made of non-precious material. And you look at the word junk, I mean, anything comes under the word junk. So let's wind back. I mean, you know, Sujata wound back to the Indus Valley civilization and look, you know, what started India's journey in jewelry. I think the earliest forms of jewelry was junk, was costume, shells, there were beads, there were feathers, there was pieces of stones that had certain shapes and sizes. There was jewelry made out of terracotta, tiger's claws, elephant hair. I mean, this was all part of the language of Indian jewelry. So, and they were all precious. So in my language, in my vocabulary, costume is precious, junk is precious. If you look at it from the not only from the Indian perspective, even if you look at it from, say, an ancient civilization like the Egyptian civilization. I mean, if you take something like a scarab beetle, you know, that's junk, but it's beetle, it's an organic material. Yet how precious it was to them that they wore it all the time. So really, I think what is important here is the meaning in the forms, the meaning in the material, in the symbolism, and how that reacts with the human persona, with the human body. I mean, all this material comes from our natural environment. So if we take anything from our natural environment, whatever it may be, and wear it as jewelry, it immediately assumes significance. And importantly, I think in the Indian context, sometimes a lot of these natural material could not be worn as jewelry. I mean, they had a shelf life. Flowers, let's take flowers, for example. Jasmine, one of the most beautiful flowers that we have here in India, or the lotus, they have a shelf life. I mean, the jasmine doesn't live more than a day. Yet there's so much of symbolism, there's so much of beauty, there's such beautiful perfume that is associated with jasmine. So what did the Indian goldsmith do? What did the Indian karigar do? He took the jasmine form and he replicated it in gold, in silver, in base metal, whether it was brass or bronze or copper or just, you know, white metal. But everything that the flower stood for, its beauty, its heady perfume, the fact that it made a woman feel good when she wore that flower as a piece of jewelry, was transposed onto the metal or onto the precious gems that was used. So I think in that context, costume is precious, junk is important, and they all add so much to us.
That's beautifully summed up. I'd like to just bounce to Gauri, who is the co-founder of Isharya, and I know that it's a brand that has really worked on things like filigree and many other Indian forms of decorative, and made it relevant in contemporary and in costume forms. But why did you decide to start this brand, which is so inherently Indian, out of India, Gauri?
Thank you. Thank you, FICCI, first of all, for inviting us to be part of this event. So as Sujata, as Dr. Usha mentioned, jewelry has always been a huge part of India's art and culture. But when Radhika and I started Isharya 15 years ago, we felt that there was nothing really innovative happening with Indian jewelry to a global audience. Through my years while living abroad, I had noticed how women would style themselves with fun fashion jewelry. Lady Diana was known to wear a lot of her fun jewelry. She was, although she had access to the best gold jewelry, she would still be wearing fun costume jewelry. I loved how she paired up her Butler and Wilson, D initial necklace, and it became so iconic. So so when I came back to India, it was always like, jewelry is only worn during weddings and then put away in the locker. Anything other than gold, as you mentioned, Sujata, was considered junk. So we really saw a big gap. So we wanted Isharya jewelry to become an iconic brand that would give a contemporary Indian jewelry its rightful place in the global market. We wanted our jewelry to be about self-expression and wearability. We wanted to make Indian jewelry relevant and fashionable to a larger audience and yet be in touch with India's rich cultural roots. So that's actually how we started, Isharya.
So, Dr. Usha, when you look at Isharya's jewelry, do you feel it fulfills the criteria of adornment, which is so important in jewelry?
Well, I think it does both. I think it kind of bridges the two worlds of Indian jewelry. One is, what is jewelry in the Indian context? Is it just adornment? If you look at it traditionally, adornment, allurement, seducement was only one minuscule aspect of jewelry. It was important because both men and women wore jewelry. Jewelry was something that is so much part of all our rite of passage rituals, from the time when a baby is born to the time when somebody is moving on to the next world. A piece of jewelry marks every event in a person's life. Whether it is, to protect the baby, the newborn baby from harm, some kind of an amulet, maybe some black beads are put on the baby. Marriage is symbolized with jewelry. The baby, the young child's first learning, when he or she learns to utter a word or is introduced into the area of knowledge when his ears are bored, is symbolized with a piece of jewelry. Marriage, of course. Pregnancy is symbolized with jewelry. So every stage in life is commemorated by a specific piece of jewelry. So I think in that context, yes, it goes much, much, much beyond adornment. Jewelry was also a form of savings. Jewelry symbolized material power and wealth. And importantly, it created this shield around the individual. It created an area of positive energy around the person who wore it and offered protection and repelled evil. And I think that in the Indian context is one of the most important roles of jewelry.
So can you tell us some motives in Indian jewelry which are very important and have specific meanings? Maybe go into 4 or 5 motives that you feel are very important.
I think, when we can start maybe the PPT and we can run through, Isharya's creations in this context. So each one of those is a very important motive in Indian jewelry. So, as I said, the jasmine is important. The lotus is an important. Tiger's claws are important. Beetle wings are important. So every, again, people, the craftsmen turned to nature. They were in awe of thunder and lightning. So, thunder became an important symbol of Indian jewelry. So I think we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the...
Maybe Gauri can quickly run us through how this came about. This was a completely Zoom done, I believe, collection, completely made in India, completely done under lockdown. You were working on a very different collection before you decided this collection. And I'm going to let you tell us all about it, and I'm not going to reveal much about it. I'll let you go ahead, Gauri.
Okay, thanks, Sujata. So in March, while we were getting ready to finalize our fall collection, the pandemic hit. it just suddenly didn't feel right. It was just a different world that we realized we were entering, where things we thought would never be the same. And as we said, at Isharya, we've always been inspired by our rich cultural heritage. So we really paused and thought about it. And we wanted to make a collection that was truly Isharya, something that's deep in India's cultural roots, but also relevant and wearable in the new post-COVID world. As a team, we brainstormed together, all of us over Zoom, as you mentioned, over numerous Zoom calls. And we shared stories, and we talked about folklore and things that gave us strength. Like, while growing up, we may have heard, moms or grandmoms, or even read about some old wisdom, that stuck in us, and things that gave us strength and reinforced our beliefs. So we wanted to make a collection that was seeped in these beliefs and would give women positivity and strength while wearing it during this crazy time that we're going through, all of us together. So we also were very sure that we wanted to make it in India. We wanted to focus it on India's craftsmanship and design, and made by local artisans, and using Indian traditional techniques. Working during lockdown was another challenge, because of course all the craftsmen that we were working with were also facing so many challenges because everything was shut. So this really was a very difficult and challenging collection to do during lockdown, but it is something that I think really is truly a labor of love, and something I think every team member at Isharya is very proud of, that we were able to present this.
So should we take a look at the collection now, and maybe we'll go through each symbol. Dr. Usha, would you like to, as we go through it, just take us through each symbol?
Yes.
It's a collection which is very much based on charms, correct? So
yes. Yeah.
Tell us maybe a little bit about charms and how charms came to be a part of jewelry culture.
So I think, the whole thing revolves around the whole concept of energy. We all of us have an aura around us. And I think, what we say, what we think, the way we speak, the way we react to people around us, the way people react to us, is dependent on this field of energy. And that energy field has the capacity to both attract and to repel. And I think in that context, a lot of these charms play a very, very important role. So if we go to the next slide, I mean, this is the whole collection over here. And the next one, the first slide, where we have the fish and the turtle. Who's controlling the slides? Yeah, perfect. So I just thought that we should go back to where it all began. So the fish and the turtle have been titled as celestial guardians. So let's wind back to Indian mythology. The fish represents the first avatar of Vishnu. And during, when the big deluge happened, it was the fish actually, we have the same story as Noah's Ark in the West. We have that same story here in Indian mythology, where Manu, the first man, is supposed to have loaded this boat with himself, and under instructions from the supreme being, the medicinal herbs, the seeds, everything that was required to sustain life, regenerate life after the deluge. And it is the fish that actually pulled this boat to safety. The fish grew in gargantuan proportions and pulled the boat to safety. So Matsya is the first avatar of Vishnu, when that whole cycle of creation, dissolution, and regeneration takes place in the Indian metaphysical world. So the fish actually symbolizes, protection. It's constantly swimming. The fish has the capacity to swim against the tide. So it represents the ability of an individual who can actually navigate through all the ups and downs of life, swim smoothly through the good times and navigate through the tough times. So the fish gives you that power. It empowers the individual who wears it with that ability to cope with everything that comes in his or her way. And the tortoise or the kurma is the second avatar of Vishnu, again in that whole scheme of the Dasha avatar or the 10 avatars of Vishnu. And when that deluge happened, it is as the story goes, and I'm not going to repeat the story because I think everybody here in this audience would know the story. The whole world rests on the shoulders of the tortoise. It was the tortoise that brought it up from deep within the ocean. It's an amphibian. It can live in water. It can live on land. And the entire cosmos, the world, rests on the shoulders of the tortoise. So again, the symbolism here is one of power. It is one of strength. It is one, of the ability to be firm and steadfast. And importantly, for those of us who do a lot of yoga, I'm sure many of you would have heard about the term Kurmanadi. So Kurmanadi is that energy center that is actually located in the base of the throat. And wearing something that rests here on your chest or at the base of your throat activates that Kurmanadi, which kind of cleanses and clears the energy pathways, allowing strength, power, steadfastness to flow through the individual and their ability to cope with the ups and downs of life. And then we have the next one. This is the Hamsa, the hand. Again, a form that requires very little, which is not new to audiences all around the world. But here, Isharya has actually interpreted it in a different way, because what they've done is they have set the Hamsa with the 9 stones, with 9 gemstones that represent the Navaratnas, the 7 planets and the ascending and the descending nodes of the moon, the waxing and the waning moon. The hand itself symbolizes, I think, it has a symbolism in practically every religion on earth. In Hinduism, of course, the hand symbolizes Lakshmi, Sri, the goddess of wealth. In Buddhism, it symbolizes protection. Buddha's hand is held in the Abhaya Mudra, which is the fear not mudra. In Judaism, it is the hand of Miriam, symbolizing cosmic blessings. Now, when that hand is then set with the 9 stones that symbolizes the Navagrahas, it becomes a powerful, cogent entity. And in India, we follow the lunar calendar. So our festivals, our ceremonies, our wedding dates are all fixed by the lunar calendar. So Amavasya and Purnima are extremely important phases of the moon for us. And so, once again, a very, very powerful, cogent entity, the Hamsa or the hand that is set with the 9 stones that symbolize the Navaratnas, or the 9 grahas, the 7 planets and the ascending and descending nodes of the moon. On the right side of the screen, you have the evil eye. The concept of the evil eye is something that is probably, present in every culture, but perhaps none more so than in India. And the black bead, which is the simplest form of the evil eye, it kind of symbolizes the pupil of the eye, the black portion of the eye. And so, a black bead, our Mangal Sutras are worn on a chain of black beads. Babies are made to wear black beads. Often we have a little beauty mark that is put on the face, especially for a bride or for a newborn baby. It is to deflect that evil eye. So the moment what is the idea of this eye is that when somebody sees it, the eye is attracted towards this charm. And the charm actually absorbs within it anything that might be bad, anything that might be evil in the mind of the person that is looking at you, and therefore, as a consequence thereof, protects you from the harmful effects of the evil eye. And then we have the next one.
Usha, can I just ask you, as an art historian, when you see such sort of contemporization of old heritage symbols, how does that make you feel? Because is that taking something forward? Some people feel that sometimes you shouldn't disrupt such symbols. How does it make you feel when you see it actually being modernized? Do you feel that's a way of pushing our old heritage forward?
I think so. I think heritage endures. It's the connection between the past and the present, and something that we have to leave for the future. And I think it's very, very important that every generation in every period, these forms are contemporized because, you know, they are part of our life. So whether we like it or not, we don't leave it behind. It endures in some form or the other. And when it is reinterpreted, as Isharya has done in this collection, it's a legacy. I mean, it's a legacy then and now. It connects the past and the future. We are living in the present, but we cannot disassociate ourselves from the past. But the entire future lies ahead of us. And what is it that connects us to that future is something that we carry, something that is powerful, something that has meaning, that's something that has cultural relevance to us. And I think charms, you know, all of us, even today, however modern or however, you know, contemporary that we might be, I know, you know, for example, when this whole COVID thing started happening, there were people who were running around tying black threads around their wrists or red cords around their wrists. I mean, we all did it. Why did we do it? It was because we were all trying to protect ourselves and create that field of positive energy around us. So I think all these charms, and as I said right in the beginning, it's the form that is important. It's so costume, junk, the same charm could be made with diamonds, set with emeralds, rubies, sapphires, and precious gems. But it is that form that attracts that energy. So in this slide, in fact, it's very evident here. You see on the left side, you see the pyramid. Now, you know, what is the symbolism of the pyramid? It's really three, it's the perfect geometrical shape. It's three lines that encompasses the netherworld, that is the world that is beneath, the world that we live in, and the heavens above. It's such an important symbol in Egyptian culture. It forms so much a part of crystal therapy. I mean, I don't even need to go into it because it in itself, it has the ability to attract good. I mean, you know, I might be repeating myself in every slide, but I think it's important to say how much of a positive energy it kind of radiates. So the pyramid, and if you look at our temple spires and temple gopurams, they are all being conceived in the form of a pyramid. So when you go into a temple, again, why does somebody go to a temple? Because it's a powerful energy center, because everybody who goes to a temple is going there with positive energies. I don't think anybody goes to a temple, you know, radiating a negative energy. So when there is a group of people who are assembled there, that area becomes charged with energy. And when we go into a sanctum sanctorum, which is beneath that pyramidal form, that is where that energy is concentrated. So when we wear something like this charm, which has the added element of the evil eye on it, you know, not only is it attracting positive and radiating positive energy, but it is also deflecting the negative energy in the eye that is placed so strategically in the middle of that charm. And so a lot of our architectural elements, like you can see on the side, on the right side, we take a lot of these forms and we transpose it onto our architecture. So a lot of these motifs are derived from geometrical forms. All the jali windows that we are all so familiar with, all our constructions. What is Vastu in India? It's to create a space which, again, whether it's north, south, east, west. So here on the right, we have this four-sided architectural motif that actually incorporates the four cardinal directions, which are so important, because when you go into a home, there are four walls around you, and each one of the walls is important. The alignment of the walls, the positioning of the room, what is north, what is south, is such an important part of drawing these energies into your body. And then we have the next one, which is the heavenly nectar. This is the Rudraksh. I think all of us are familiar with what Rudraksh. The term Rudraksh itself, oh no, sorry, this is the Mughal Kharbuja, which actually is based on some people believe it to be, the form to be derived from the watermelon, but I myself think that it is derived from the Indian gooseberry, the amla. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the fruit amla. It's something that you take, like aloe vera. Taking a glass of amla juice every day is so rich in vitamin C. It's a medicinal herb. Just chewing on amla, so amla has taken so many forms. It's made into pickles, it's made into jams, it's ground and drunk as juice, and it protects the body. It's a medicinal herb. So the moment you wear something that is based on the form derived from these natural organic plant, you are immediately absorbing all that is there in that amla. It's kind of it's there with you all the time when you're wearing that charm. Next. Here we have, so we continue with the Rudraksh. So the Rudraksh, actually, the term itself is Rudra Aksha, which is Rudra is Shiva, Aksha is eyes. So it represents the eye of Shiva. And all of us know how powerful the third eye of Shiva is, which, when it's open, it's capable of, it actually opens to restart the cycle of creation. So we have Brahma, the creator, we have Vishnu, the preserver, and then we have Shiva, the dissolver. I never say destruction, I always say dissolution, because there's regeneration. Destruction has a finality to it. But when you dissolve something, it has the capacity to regenerate. So the story goes that, Shiva was in deep meditation, meditating how to destroy evil in the world. And in that deep meditation, when his eyes were so tightly closed, water fell out of his eyes and it fell on the ground. And where the water fell, actually the Rudraksha tree grew. It's very particular. It grows only in the Himalayas, on the foothills of the Himalayas. It requires that cold climate to grow. And importantly, actually, it's also an extremely medicinal seed. It's actually the seed of that tree. And they say it's very good for blood pressure. So if you have a Rudraksha, and you can either just wear the Rudraksha as you see it in front of you as a charm. It protects your body. It kind of regulates your pulse. And the pulse is so much important. It's such an important factor in maintaining your blood pressure. And in some medicinal belief systems, if you actually grind a piece of Rudraksha and mix it with honey and have a little bit every morning, it actually has the capacity to bring down your blood pressure. So, that's the powerful symbolism of the Rudraksha. And we actually have a natural Rudraksha that is part of that amulet. Then next, we have this path of universal enlightenment. We have two very, very powerful charms. The one on the left is a tabiz. Tabiz is something we put for our child. We wear, if you go into the villages of India today, I don't think you'll come across a single man or a woman who's not wearing a tabiz. We have shed the tabiz in the urban city life that we lead. But, the taweez actually has a very, very important role to play in our life. One, as you can see in the charm in front of you, it actually opens up and you can insert a little piece of paper which has got, a shloka, some powerful verses that are important for you, some mantra that you would like to constantly repeat to yourself is inserted into the taweez. Sometimes people insert, herbs, medicinal herbs into the taweez. And I don't know, from South India, from where I come, we actually take the taweez and we, when a newborn baby is born, uh, every baby has, the dried umbilical cord of the child. When it falls off, it dries and falls off, the umbilical cord of the child. That is inserted into the taweez and put around the child or put around the waist of the child. Let's, fast forward to the 21st century. What is that all about? It's about stem cell, because you are preserving the child's stem cell in that taweez. All that you need is a hair to, take out the stem cell, in the eventuality that you need it. Today, the whole concept of stem cell cures and stem cell research is something, that is touted as a cure from everything, maybe even cancer, to arthritis, to multiple sclerosis, to muscular dystrophy. They talk about stem cell therapy. So the taweez in South India, we keep the umbilical cord, the dried umbilical cord of the child inside that taweez. So imagine what a powerful entity that taweez is.
That's an incredible story, Usha. I just wanted to ask Gauri, I believe for the Isharya taweezes, I don't know if you're going to be able to put anything as powerful as Usha just spoke about, but you are personalizing the messages, correct?
Yes, so we can personalize them, but for me, it's probably my favorite charm that we have done because I really personally believe in affirmations. So I personally like to write my own affirmations and keep it. So, and it's really working for me. So
we can send you an affirmation and you will put that inside.
Yes, we can do that.
I think anybody can open it and put anything that they want inside it. I know people who save the baby's first teeth and they put it into the taweez just to, again, stem cell. The teeth, it comes with the roots. So the stem cell is put there. You can put medicinal herbs inside it. You go to a temple, you might get some sandal paste. You can put it into that taweez. So, there's limitless.
You can really personalize it to your own.
Absolutely. Whatever you believe in and whatever you think is going to protect
you. So it's quite cool.
Yeah. And the charm on the left is the prayer wheel. I mean, it's equivalent to the prayer beads that we see, where constant repetition of a mantra. The prayer wheel here, the Buddhist prayer wheel, is inscribed actually with the famous Buddhist Lotus Sutra, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which constant repetition of that again energizes you, creates a field of positive energy, repels evil, protects you, gives you a sense of comfort and satisfaction, gives you the ability to meet with the challenges of the world, removes fear. I mean, we all live in fear of something, the fear of the unknown. So the prayer wheel removes that fear of the unknown. Next. So the heart and the moon, I don't think the heart needs much explanation as a charm. It's an eternal charm. It's an eternal motif of love, of longing, of togetherness, of expression, of companionship. So I think the heart kind of speaks for itself. The moon, again, when we went back to the fish and the tortoise, we follow the lunar calendar in India. The crescent moon is a symbol that sits on the crown of Shiva. So, our entire life is actually regulated by the waxing and the waning moon. They always say, oh, it's a full moon, people are going mad. I think that itself speaks for itself, how powerful the moon is in our lives. And the crescent moon, again, is a symbolism that the moon has kind of waned, but it's not gone. It's coming back again into life as it moves and as it progresses towards the next phase of the full moon. All our, we all have an English birthday, but I think we all have a birthday of the star under which we were born, which is regulated by the moon. Our marriage dates are fixed by the position of the moon. All our festivals, we just had Janmashtami, we just had Ganpati, all these dates. Why is it that the date changes every year? We don't have it, like one day of Christmas. Every 25th of December is the day of Christmas. No, because we follow the lunar calendar, and as the moon waxes and wanes every year, it kind of moves forward. It changes depending on the revolution on its axis. The moon, as you know, also revolves around its own axis. So that, in fact, is the significance of the moon. The next one. The mercy of faith. This is a golden kirpan, again requiring very little explanation. It is a symbol that originates in Sindh and Punjab province. The kirpan, or the sword, is such an important symbol amongst the Sikh community in India. It represents defense, it represents protection and mercy. It can actually destroy evil, but it also has a positive because it offers protection. So, it gives you a sense of power when you wear it, a sense of invincibility almost, that, I have the sword around my neck. I'm carrying the sword here on my wrist. I can face anything. Let anybody come and let them threaten me with anything, but I am capable of meeting it because I'm empowered with the kirpan that I'm carrying on my body, which is why traditionally every Sikh actually carries a small little miniature kirpan on them. It gives them that sense of power. Next. So this is the Vajra. The Vajra is a symbol that I'm particularly fond of because as a jewelry historian, Vajra is the term that is given to the diamond. The Vajra is a symbol of the thunderbolt. It's an emblem of Indra, the god of war. And it's a term in Sanskrit that is used to describe a diamond. And the reason is because it's indestructible, it's invincible. It's just one of the most perfect minerals known to man, one of the earliest minerals known to man. So, and the charm that is on the left side of the screen, the Vajra symbol actually takes the form of the Trishul. It's embossed on a rustic gold coin. Again, gold the color gold also has its own inherent symbolism. It represents Sri Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. It was a ritually pure material. It's a symbol of the sun. So imagine when the sun and the thunderbolt come together in one charm, who can do anything to you? You're an armor, so to speak.
You're invincible, yeah.
Yeah, totally invincible. And the beautiful charm on the right is, I think, fashioned on the Maltese cross. Again, the cross is positive, negative. It's like a yin-yang symbol. It incorporates everything that is positive and negative, and it neutralizes it. Because of this perfect cross on the axis, it becomes very neutral. So when you go to meet somebody and you're wearing that cross, you're actually going to them saying, look, I come to you in friendship. I come to you with no preconceived notion. I'm not negative, I'm not positive, my mind is open. When we all greet people with namaste, and the namaste has become, I think, the mode of greeting today in COVID times when we are not allowed to shake hands or hug people. So what is it?
I see people I live in Dubai and everybody seems to be doing the namaste now. It's become the global way of greeting.
Absolutely. But there's more to it than just bringing the two palms together and keeping COVID away. It actually neutralizes your energy because you have the positive and the negative, and the two have come together, creating a neutral aura around you that you're willing to accept the person in front of you for whatever he or she comes to you with. You're meeting them with an open mind. So that, in fact, is the symbol of the cross.
What's coming across is how global all these motives are. Like the Hamza has a Jewish meaning, an Arab meaning. The pyramid, which to my mind was Egyptian when I first, saw it, and then when I had discussions with you spoke about how it has symbols even within Hinduism. This collection really, to me, it brings together so much of how symbols really bring the world together, and how there is so much cross-culture pollination that happened even back in the days of ancient that we didn't realize.
Absolutely. I think, what has been lost in the transmission is the simplicity of it. We tend to construct very, very majestic stories, but when you rid it of all its frills and fancies, it just kind of distills down into something that is so simple, that is something that is so relevant. I think that is the message that this collection communicates to people, that these are universal symbols. But they are just not symbols. There's a meaning to every symbol, and there's something that adds a dimension to your life. I think really that's really what is important in this collection. And I think we have one more slide.
Yeah.
The double horn. The double horn, a symbol of the take it, the horn or the buffalo. If you go into Northeast India, into the culture of the Nagas, or if you go into the Nilgiri mountains to the culture of the Todas, the double horn is such an important symbol for them. They wear it during their traditional ceremonial dances. Amongst the Todas, they actually decorate the horns of the bulls more than they decorate themselves. Because the horn, it symbolizes dignity, it symbolizes power and strength. And as tribal cultures who lived off the forest, who lived off the land, that strength and dignity was so much a part of their persona. It was so much a part of their lives that the double horn therefore assumed that kind of a significance. And, the moonstone, I think, just to mention that the moonstone also has an equivalent significance. So when the form and the material come together, the moonstone represents new beginnings. And when it comes together in the form of the horn, it combines these symbolisms. So it's kind of just, it's beaming that message to the onlooker.
That was really like, oh, sorry, there's one more.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we have on the left is the healing force unlocked. I think this is a beautiful slide to end this collection with. The padlock on the left and the key on the right. Unlock it. Here's the key, here's the padlock. It all is there inside you. Everybody has good inside them. Everybody has positive energies inside them. Bad times cannot last forever. There's always a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's a silver lining to every cloud. From destruction comes creation. From dissolution comes regeneration. Plants die, the monsoon comes, they get regenerated. Oh, I think we all need to regenerate ourselves. And, I think we've had the huge pause button in our lives over the last 6 months. And the time has come to regenerate. Let's wake up, let's wear the padlock, let's take the key and unlock everything that's inside us. There's a new world ahead of us.
I think you've unlocked so much information for us on jewelry, which for many women, we just think of it as adornment, but there's so much symbol, so much value, so much heritage, so much meaning to things that we think are trinkets or that, add a bit of bling into our life. So thanks so much, Dr. Usha, for that. I wanted to ask Gauri a little bit about how she thinks COVID has affected costume jewelry. But before that, I just want to play one small video that tells us a little bit more about Isharya's new collection, and then I'm going to ask her a few detailed questions. Can we run the video, please?
This is the old video.
The same video as last time.
Yeah.
Should I go straight to you then, Gauri? We'll let your words paint the pictures for us. So this collection, you can buy chains from what I believe, and you can hang it on. You can buy one, you can buy two, you can keep adding to it. So it's very wearable. It's very gift friendly. It's very something that you can personalize to your own budget, to your own taste. Is this all a factor of how COVID is changing the way we dress?
Yes, I first of all, like I said, when we started this collection, we wanted to talk about the Indian symbolism and how it relates to jewelry. So, I mean, thank you, Usha, Dr. Usha. You really enlightened us with so much knowledge. But yeah, so that was the reason we really wanted to make this collection. But also, yes, it is. I think people are looking for a more versatile sort of dressing now. So, for example, this earring I'm wearing, I can actually wear it as a charm on my necklace. On my bracelet, I can wear it as a bracelet. I can wear it, however I want. So, I mean, it's basically, I think people are looking towards wearing more versatile pieces, and they want to wear, something that how it makes them feel. It is, the sentiment behind a piece of jewelry. I think people are looking to express themselves with fashion and wear jewelry that helps them share their stories and beliefs. So chains are very big right now. And when it comes to styling, COVID silhouettes, as you know, has become more relaxed and easy to wear. So a chain necklace has been invaluable during lockdown. It's very wearable. You can wear it and toughen up a feminine dress, or you can wear it with your sweatpants and elevate that look. So I think versatility is something that people are definitely looking for post-COVID. Like I said, these charms can be worn in various ways. Also, I think people are looking for more classic silhouettes for things that will last a longer time. And, they want timelessness and they want unique pieces. Of course, after COVID, there's a lot of conversations happening about sustainability and having transparency in the supply chain of jewelry. So, I mean, as a brand, we need to focus on that, and we are focusing on that. And also, like you said, we've all realized how valuable our relationships are. And, we're all really missing our loved ones because we're so far away from them, that I think fashion jewelry will be very relevant for gifting loved ones, especially if it carries some significant meaning to them. So, I actually think fashion jewelry is becoming more relevant now that lifestyles are changing. The way we meet each other also socially is changing. So for example, there are going to be smaller events. For me, I don't want to wear something blink. I would rather wear something that tells a story to me and speaks to me. So yes, so I think fashion in jewelry is changing quite a bit.
Dr. Usha, how has crisis normally impacted jewelry and what happens in jewelry? Because I know crisis always impacts style and trend and culture. The jewelry is bound to be impacted.
I think primarily the craftsmen, they are the first to get impacted. We have the most, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. We have the most unorganized jewelry manufacturing sector here in India because, our craftsmen are kind of scattered all over the country. A lot of them ran back home. A lot of them, their workshops, they were not able to work in their workshops for extended periods of time. All the factories were closed. So I think, they were the first and the hardest to be impacted. And I think after that, everybody in that value chain has been affected in some way or the other. I know, for example, that the whole diamond industry has suffered quite considerably, again, because of the migratory labor. They were not able to run those factories at capacity. They were not able to manufacture. I mean, everything was shut down. Now, even as far as wearing jewelry is concerned, so, I love jewelry. And I made it a point, I said, here's my great opportunity. I'm just going to wear a piece of jewelry every day. And I did, over the last 6 months, I used to change my earrings every day or wear something different on my neck. Or sometimes, I realized that I took out and wore things that I'd probably not worn for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. It was okay. I mean, there was just me and my family to see me, and I was not kind of wearing it for anybody else. And I derived the greatest amount of pleasure in wearing that piece of jewelry, whether it was real or costume or junk or something that I got from my grandmother or my mother or something that was given to me as a gift. Because what it did, it brought back such beautiful memories, because I lived through that piece of jewelry. I was able to immediately connect with my mother, who actually passed away last year. And I went back to that time when she gave me that piece of jewelry, or the story she told me, something that belonged to my grandmother, or a dear friend who gifted me this, something they had picked up on the streets in New York, literally for $5, and said, Usha loves jewelry, we need to give this to her. What a fun piece. But I relived all those memories. So I think jewelry is here to stay. It will never go out of fashion. We will have the ups and downs. We might have, as Gauri said, there'll be changes. There'll be kind of what people want to buy. But I think jewelry is forever.
I wore a piece of jewelry every day. I'm actually the granddaughter of a jeweler, and I wore one piece of jewelry every day. And I always feel as though you have to have something on your hand and something
Absolutely.
on your ears. Otherwise, you shouldn't leave your bedroom.
Yes.
So I'm a firm believer in that, and it really does bring happiness. And this talk was really illuminating, and I think we all learned a lot. And I'm going to open it up to the floor now, because I'm sure people have lots of questions for both our speakers.
Thanks so much for that, Sujata. Thank you. And Dr. Balakrishnan, very, very inspiring to hear that you've been wearing your jewelry through the time of COVID. I know I've lasted most days in my pajamas and t-shirt, and really I should probably take a note from your book and learn something from that.
Wear jewelry with your pajamas and t-shirt. You won't believe how great it looks.
I'm going to remember
that. Turn them into cocktail pajamas in a second.
Yeah.
That's very Sujal, right? But I'm going to remember that for sure and put it down as a note for myself. We had some questions that popped up on a chat, so I've just taken a brief note of those and some that I wanted you to address for us. Dr. Balakrishnan, I did want to ask you that, have there been any trends and recent transitions that you have noticed, in the entire costume jewelry space, largely with the impact of modernization and in context to India, any changes that you've really seen in recent times?
There's lots going on. We still have a long way to go in India. There are, Isharya is one brand. Where are the others? So we need to, we kind of stay with our past a lot. We have still not kind of contemporized our jewelry. We need to move forward. We need to, so strange, because I just got a questionnaire yesterday from the council asking me these very same questions. And, I had to kind of write a long answer for them. The thing is, something that is universal is something that will appeal across the world. So I think something like the Isharya reaches out. It's kind of a cross-border collection. I won't say it's something that's Indian in the Indian sense. It's not heavy, it's not precious, it's not kundan, it's not all diamond, it's not something that you wear only for your wedding or for a special occasion. It's something that you can just wear. In fact, you can wear it all the time and nothing, nothing's going to happen. and you still have that feel good feeling. So I think, you know, as I told Sujata just now, jewelry is here to stay. And I think perhaps being forced to rethink and to reset, we are going to see a lot of exciting things coming out in the months ahead. I'm positive.
Right, thank you so much. Gauri, I wanted to ask you, when someone is selecting a piece of jewelry from Isharya's collection, really, how is it that you would like a woman to kind of walk into your store or select a piece for herself online? What is it that they should really be looking out for while choosing a piece of costume jewelry? Sorry, I think you're on mute. Just unmute yourself, yeah?
Sorry, someone just walked in. Yeah. No, so for me, when I'm buying a piece of jewelry for myself, and we're even designing a piece of jewelry, we really look at the story behind the jewelry, or what we're designing, or what we're trying to tell at that time. So it's also about the workmanship. We're very, very detailed about our workmanship. So if you turn the back of a piece or the front of a piece, it should look immaculate. It should look perfect. So I feel it's something that it'll speak to you, because you know, we're inspired by nature, we're inspired by architecture. We have a Humpty collection. We've over 15 years, there have been so many collections, and it's always been an inspiration from India or even abroad, but it's always been a story. There's always been something that has, you know, that will speak to an individual. So, I mean, I would say just pick what speaks to you.
Thanks, Gauri. Sujata, I wanted to ask you, in your list of collectibles, what are like 3 definitive pieces of costume jewelry that you may have collected from India and across the globe? What's really made it to your list?
Well, I still have my first row of Chanel pearls, which I remember making my mom buy for me. And at that time, she was outraged because they, you know, she was like, they're plastic pearls, but I still have those. For me, a cuff, I'm a huge cuff girl, and I just think it instantly dresses things up. And I just think a pair of earrings that you can just, again, like a longer pair of earrings, because you can travel with your real little diamond studs, the smaller ones, and then you just wear your longer ones, and then you can dress something up completely. So those are really, but during COVID, I will say one thing that Gauri said that I realized that I really, really wore was all my chain and little pendant things, because you were on a lot of Zooms, you just put it on, it dressed you up, it was light. You didn't feel silly wearing it in the house. So I think the whole chain and pendant thing has become more a part of my life before COVID, and I mean from before COVID. So I would say right now that is the pieces that I am looking for, the sort of chain and pendant type piece.
That's lovely, thank you. Dr. Balakrishnan, you know, what are the do's as far as real jewelry is concerned, and even as far as costume jewelry is concerned? If you had to be a collector in either of these cases, how should you really evaluate costume versus real from situation and from a collection perspective?
Buy what you love. I even tell people, when I was with Sotheby's and people would say, you know, how do you evaluate a work of art? How do you decide whether you want it? If you love it hanging on your wall and you love seeing it every day, buy it. And I think that's much more important with jewelry, because it's something that's going to not hang on your wall, it's going to hang on you. And it doesn't matter if it is terracotta, it doesn't matter if it is beads, it doesn't matter if it's feathers, it doesn't matter if it is kundan jadao, diamonds. If you love it, buy it. And of course, I mean, as a corollary to that, you should buy from people whom you trust, who are reliable, who will give you a certificate of authenticity. If you're buying, costume jewelry, you go to a brand that's going to, you know, it's not going to rust and turn color in 2 days' time. So, you know, they have that attention to detail. You turn a piece of jewelry over, as Gauri just said, they pay so much attention to the backside of every piece that they manufacture, the detailing. I think those are things that you look out for, because then you know the kind of work and the love that has gone into creating that particular piece of jewelry, and the finish and the quality. I think those are things that, your eyes should be open to, you should look out for.
Right, thank you. Gauri, last question for you. We've had questions that have popped up about, sorry. I'm sorry about that. There's a dog in the house.
Feeling left out.
Oh, very apparently. But Gauri, sorry, last question to you. I wanted to ask you that, we've had a few questions that have come up in terms of Isharya's jewelry and the metal that it's made with and how one should care for their jewelry and really what is the longevity of the jewelry, how long would it really last. So can you just share a little bit of after sale care with us and tell us how to make the best use of our jewelry?
So actually, I have Isharya jewelry from our first collection 15 years ago, and I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I'm still wearing it. There's nothing wrong with it, and I love it. I still wear it, and I know a lot of our customers are wearing, our jewelry like over years and years. But of course, it's you have to be careful in the sense that don't try not to expose it to soap. It's 18 karat gold plated, and it's on brass. But again, it's hypoallergenic, the material. So, I mean, and it's very, very high micron plating that we do. So it's actually two micron plating, which is a very high plating. And that is why our jewelry is a little bit more expensive than other people, other costume jewelry brands, because, we really want to give the best experience to our customer. So it's a very high quality micron plating. And we actually offer a 1-year limited warranty. So, and in case something happens to it, you can always bring it back, and we can see what if there's any we can correct it.
Thanks, Gauri. Thanks so much, and thank you so much for that. I'm actually just going to request Ridhima, who's my vice chairperson at YFlow Delhi, to join us now and just to give the vote of thanks, please. Ridhima.
Thanks, Karishma. Thank you, Dr. Usha Balakrishna, Gauri Tandon, and Sujata Assomull for a very insightful conversation on every woman's favorite indulgence. At YFlow, we don't believe in cutting flowers. Rather, we plant a tree as a small gesture of our thank you. We will be sending you all green certificates with details on the same. And now, for the happy, sweet ending to this conversation, Isharya has very generously offered a 15% discount to all FICCI members. We will be sharing across a code on the same. I'm sure we've all handpicked the charms you want to buy through this conversation. So thank you so much to all our panelists and members for this conversation today.
Thanks, Ridhima. Thank you very much, Dr. Balakrishnan, Sujata, and Gauri for joining us today. This was a lovely conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I think every girl likes to discuss jewelry, so this was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.